Hello friends, what's up? It is Mina and welcome to another video on this YouTube channel. So in today's video, I wanted to hold space for the upcoming full moon. We have a full moon coming up in less than 2 days at this point. So I'm recording this video on Monday, November 3rd. And the full moon is happening on Wednesday, November 5th at 8:19 a.m. Eastern Time. So depending on how you are gearing your full moon working, if you are trying to manifest something really quick, you'll want to do it before the moon is at its 100% illumination. So that would really be either tonight or tomorrow night. So this is a little bit later. This is known, at least in my witch's date book, it's known as the morning moon. M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G. Beaver moon. Okay, yeah, that's the other one. It can also be known as the frost moon, deer rutting moon, whitefish moon. And then, of course, in our witch's date book, it is known as the morning moon. So this full moon is going to be in the zodiac sign of Taurus. Now, Taurus is ruled by the element of earth. So it is all about that pentacle energy. It's also at its own 100% illumination on Wednesday morning, which is ruled by Mercury. So this is going to be all about like messages and communication. So with this full moon being in the zodiac sign of Taurus, Taurus being an element that rules the earth or ruled by the earth element, this can be a really great highlighted full moon to take stock and account of what is going on within your finances, what is going on within your home life. It could be a great time to reevaluate your habits, your routine, how you are nurturing your space. What does the home life look like to you? How are you nourishing and nurturing this time? So Taurus is also ruled by the planet Venus. So this could also be an energy to bring into for this full moon. So we have finances, home, stability, love, Venusian energy. Then we also have it at its 100% on Wednesday. So mercurial messages. So putting these energies together, we could have messages aligning to changes within the love and romantic dynamic. You could be moving into a space of aligning with love or energies that you would love. So, you know, finances and working on your financial goals in a capacity that you would love, or working on some home projects for this fall season, depending on where you're living, that you would love. So it doesn't necessarily mean romantic love, but it could just mean these energies focus in a capacity that would be something that would align within the energy of love and compatibility. So Mercury is going to be going retrograde 4 days after this full moon. So it's a perfect time to really go into ritual space if you are somebody that does any kind of ceremony for the Esbits or the full moon rituals, to go into meditative or ceremonial space, even something so basic as just like journaling and pouring over some of these energies that are highlighted for shifts to take place. So if there is something within these energies that you have wanted to change, that you have wanted to improve or focus upon, it could be a great idea during this full moon time period to focus on these things. I just spoke about in my previous video, It's called My Dream Life by 40, focusing on manifesting my dream life by 40. And it's really all about goals. And so in that video, I was speaking about goals and breaking those down in quarters so they're not super intense, or so there's not so many going on at one particular time. So highly recommend the video if you just want to check it out just to get some ideas on how to improve the day-to-day operation of your life in the trajectory of improvement, right? Manifestation, improving certain energies and what that looks like. So, in that aspect, when I think about financial goals, I think about some of what I spoke about in that video, you know, kind of taking the goal and breaking it down and looking at what can I accomplish by the end of this quarter, which would be from October to the end of December. So I am going to be using a tarot deck that I actually just recently opened from its package. I had this in a package for probably years. It was given to me under a different YouTube name. So I haven't used it yet. It's called the Guiding Light Tarot. So I'm going to use this deck for pulling some cards. And then I also have a couple oracle decks that I will also use just to catch a vibe on what is going on within this time frame. So interesting deck, very basic kind of symbolism, but we are going to play with that today. So let me just take a moment to get in the mode here. As always, when you are watching these videos, if you are connecting with other messages different from what I'm connecting with, I always invite you to share your thoughts, share your impressions down in that comment section below. And as always, with any reading or with any video, take what resonates and leave what does not. I'm going to use some of this Blessed Sage Spray just to catch a vibe. So many options if you can't light sage. Just having a spray around, having some crystals around. Even just having a, I just said that, crystal, essential oils, whatever you have that can kind of shift your energy into more ritual space is where it's at. So give me a moment just to just shuffle and connect with these energies. Of course, I'm already seeing energies of the holiday season. This is an energy that is super prominent, especially, you know, in the US here and probably in different countries as well, depending on where you're tuning in from. Spirit is saying that you have the permission to change what the holiday season looks like for you. How you celebrate the seasons of life doesn't need to look like anyone else's path. It can look unique to what lights you up and also what is feasible for you. So, you know, I went to like this pumpkin patch, and when I did that last month in October, I bought some like apple salsa that was jarred, and I bought some pumpkin butter and apple butter, and some of those things would make great gifts. And sometimes when we have certain passions that are craft based, nobody can go in the store and buy those things. So that can also be a great option for gift giving. So Spirit is really highlighting the fact that in 2025, when the rinse and repeat routine has been consumerism, panic spending, overwhelming holiday energy, you know, beyond our means, what can it look like for you? And what would be the most ideal way for you to, you know, spend the holidays with loved ones, but not overexhaust your resources. And even though this is the full moon in November, like, we're fast approaching. So I'm not surprised that this is being highlighted. Really great shuffle with these, I will say. They shuffle really nicely. So let's get an overall energy for the collective for this upcoming full moon. Ooh, Page of Cups. Page of Cups, very simple imagery here, but that is totally fine. With the Page of Cups being an energy for this full moon, we are going into creative mode. We are going into creative brainstorming phase. This is definitely a card that speaks of like inner child wonder and curiosity, and just kind of holding space for presence. And the curiosity, that energy is very much highlighted as well. We also have the Empress coming through during this full moon time. I love that it's like you can see somewhat of their organs, and she's very much pregnant in that space. So how we manifest, how we bring our dream life, we bring our goals into the tangible reality, into manifestation, it's really catching a vibe. It really, really is. It's perception. It's awareness. It's curiosity. It's openness. It's not being so consumed by the regurgitating dialogue that constantly buzzes in our mind, but it's stillness. You know, with the Empress, it's also, this card is perfect for November. It's perfect for the last harvest, you know, before we go into winter state. And this is really all about gratitude. And I am strongly aligned and loving that energy of gratitude and joy. A friend of mine shared a reel with me last night that was all about how pops of color can emit frequencies of joy in people's life, and how very few businesses actually are intentional with implementing such a thing. But, you know, my friend inspired me where I'm going to actually implement some of those energies with my team at work. Something so simple, right? So, hey, let's all choose a Zoom background design that's primary color aligns with a color that emits joy in me, and this is why. You know, what a fun team building, like rapport building activity. And that's kind of what the Empress energy reminds me of, is looking for ways that you can be in the state of gratitude and joy during this full moon. So it might not even be I want X, or I'm trying to manifest XYZ. It could be holding space for what is and what is not and what we are trying to bring. But I'm really getting the sense of permission slips. I'm really getting the sense of like starting to focus on reflective energies, focus on release. And that could just be releasing burdens of the pressures that we put on ourselves. Four of Pentacles in reverse showing up again. Showing up as well, I should say. Four of Pentacles in reverse. The Four of Pentacles is typically an energy that is very kind of closed off and guarded, kind of holding their resources to themselves so that way they, you know, are not left empty-handed were an emergency to occur. But this card is in reverse during this time. So it's not necessarily saying to hoard. Giving could be a great energy for this full moon time period. But it's just going to depend on what you have capacity to give of yourself. Sometimes we see the Four of Pentacles as just like giving of money, but that's not necessarily the only thing. You can also give of your time. You can also give of resources. You can give of knowledge. You can give of energy. Ten of Swords in reverse is an energy that we want to focus on releasing during this time. This is going to be any kind of personal, suspicious energies. You may have been somebody in the past that has, been worried about betrayals, been worried about backstabbing or gossiping or any of those kind of energies. There could be, some sort of competition within, people in your life, be it in the workplace or even in your personal life. And some of those energies are energies to focus on ridding yourself of. We also have the Knight of Wands as an energy to focus on releasing. This card is beautiful. Knight of Wands. Within this sphere, the Knight of Wands is moving towards the Ten of Swords. So I would say that there may have been some confirmation bias that you may have struggled with in the past as a way to stay isolated and stuck. I know that hits true for me, where it's like, I'm looking for the reasons why I can't trust others. I'm looking for the signs that prove that, I'm all alone, or I can't rely on others, or I can't trust people, some of those things. So this is definitely pointing to and being very aware of gravitating towards the energy of thinking that others are out to get you and that you're all alone. So we want to start to focus more on assuming positive intent. We want to focus more on self-nourishment and reassurance, because that's not the current reality that you're in. Even if the players haven't changed, where that energy may have been more prevalent in the past, something is happening during this full moon time frame where others are going to be distracted doing other things. So it's actually a great time for you to get into a very good routine within your own life based around these energies of what's important and aligned for you. We also have the energy of Judgment coming through as one of the focal points to be released during this full moon time frame. So, first major arcana card that is in the energy of release during this time frame. What's coming through with Judgment is Judgment has a sort of like reckoning, resurrection time frame. This may have been an energy that was prevalent for you previously. I'm getting definitely summertime vibes. You may have been in an energy, especially this past summer, where it was a resurrection sort of energy. We were letting an old version die as a new version was being reborn. We were definitely in like the I have something to prove sort of energy. That was then, and this is now. So this isn't the energy that we're still in. And so we can kind of focus on releasing that I have something to prove, or I'm still in the active building phase of this resurrected version of myself, this newer version of myself. Any sort of like karmic exacting also released. Okay, so we're not focused on those. Those can be released at this time, especially if it's something that had been very prevalent to your life. So, energies to focus on bringing in. Oh, God. Whoa! So we have the Queen of Cups here. Interesting energies. We also have the Tower card. Why? And we have the Death card. Wow. These are energies to focus on bringing in. Okay. So the Queen of Cups is at the center of everything. This is really, really nourishing and holding space for the truth of our emotional well-being. And what that looks like for our lives and how we can nourish our relationships and our emotions and our feelings within our everyday reality, and how we can build upon that and emanate the frequency of love as often as possible. Okay, so in the energy of the Tower, these major arcana energies are super intense, and it sort of contradicts itself in an aspect, because I feel like we were just not talking about some of these energies, but here they are. So we'll pull some clarifiers on these in a minute. The Tower always speaks of the foundation is unsteady and the fortress has been built upon it. And so we get an energy where things begin to topple due to the foundation being not right. The foundation wasn't aligned. It wasn't the best that it could have been. And so we see things start to explode. Okay, this is ruled by Mars, which is happening the day before the full moon. So Tuesday ruled by Mars, day before the full moon. Something might be showing up on Tuesday. So if there is something in your reality that is presenting itself tomorrow, an act of chaos or something in your, work life or external world, I would say observe it and notice it for what it is. We don't have to take it as a part of ourselves, but it could be pointing to something very interesting. So we also have the Death card. And in the Death card, we talk about inevitable change. There is inevitable change that is showing up during this full moon time period. It could be something very small on the world stage, but it also could be something very big. It could be something very intense. So I want to get some clarifiers as far as how we can best show up with the Tower and the Death card being energies that we're focused on bringing in. Okay, so we have the Six of Swords in reverse. So that means that it's not something for us to look for reasons to escape, to look for reasons to avoid or move out of this energy. It's definitely highlighted with this World card showing up, as well as a clarifier that we're at the center of this sort of Death Tower-like energy. It's happening around us. We don't necessarily have to be the warrior to create change, but we're going to have to observe it. We're going to have to witness it. And I'm not sure if it's to present contrast, but it's important for us to witness it, is what I'm getting. I think this is also talking about moving with grace and poise, and not running away, not shying away from, death and destruction, when it presents itself. But understanding that endings are a part of life. As things begin, so too do they end. And it's not about life always being perfect. And it's not about everything always being perfect in our surroundings. But it's about how we are navigating through that energy. How are we responding to it? Are we getting hijacked when we are in environments that, have some sort of chaotic or change-like element? Or can we remain graceful? Okay, I want to pull one more card. Biggest energy to be aware of for us during this full moon. Most important, biggest energy to be aware of. Okay, that one. This one. And what we have here is the Four of Cups. So this definitely corresponds with the Queen of Cups, Four of Cup energy. This is typically in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck where you see that there's a character by the tree. There's cups all around them. The character's kind of like, not paying attention. And then there's a cup coming out from a cloud. A hand is like holding it out from this cloud. And so it speaks of gifts from the universe. So there are gifts coming in from spirit, from your spirit guides, from the universe, from the all during this time. Don't get bogged down by energies outside of your control and outside of your choices that are in your environment that are thriving on chaos. That doesn't have to be your reality. So let's make sure it's not. And let's look for relationships, friendships, connections, opportunities, gifts from the universe that are more aligned with the trajectory of your heart and bliss and desires. So a couple random oracle cards I want to pull before we wrap up. I want to pull a card from this Spirit de la Lune deck. So what energy should we focus on bringing in during this full moon in Taurus? Two cards came out. The first one we have is number 11. It says planting moon and preparation. All right, so number 11, planting moon and preparation. We're in the 11th month of the year, so I think that's relevant as well. Preparation for connection, fire element, connect. We have waxing, give us 17. So an 8 and 11, 11, 8. November 8th could be an energy where we start seeing something show up here. Preparation for a new connection, possibly happening on November 8th. That could also look like, gosh, I'm getting some of that ET vibes. I know that there have been a lot of channelers that have talked about like, prepare for contact, prepare for connection. Last oracle card I want to pull from this Halloween oracle. Probably should have done a card pull with that last month, but better late than never. What oracle card has messages and lessons for us during this full moon time frame, November 5th, 2025? Ooh. All right, what we have here is the Mummy, and it says change. This change was also in reverse, very much an alignment with that Death card. The Death card was talking about change as well. So change is definitely afoot. It could be internal change that is happening within you. It also might be inevitable change that is just coming. Change that is just coming irregardless. It's coming through, it's happening. Let's see if we can get a little message from the guidebook on this. The ancient Egyptians took death very seriously. Okay. Aha. Should you pull the Moaning Mummy card from the deck, know that change is inevitable and that no matter how hard you try, things will not be preserved exactly the same way. The card also indicates that this change will be for the better. The endings, the closed doors, the barriers, this is just a healthy pause and an indication that a change of tactics is needed. You are not cursed, you have just developed a pattern. You can take control and change it. So there may have been some patterns that have been created in your life. But this full moon is definitely time for change to take place. So that very well could be an energy to focus on during, any sort of moon meditations, rituals. It's just kind of being open to what that looks like for you. If that is something that, spirit is kind of guiding you and pushing you towards certain change, or if it's just going to happen to you and you just need to be there and witness it. We did see with the Six of Swords in reverse, that's usually an energy of like moving on from things that don't align. There has been a couple cards in this reading that have confirmed that this change is meant to take place. So instead of rejecting it or rebelling against it or fighting against it, I want to say accept it, absorb it, be open to it, be receptive to it, okay? Receive it. This could look like many different things for many different people. So of course, as always, take what resonates, leave what does not, and remember to continuously hone in that relationship that you have with your own instincts and intuition. So as you hear these messages and go through and navigate your daily life, you can have those check-ins, you can have those alerts and bells and notifications and tingles that kind of guide you and align you on your path so you feel more secure in your surrender to the setting of the stage of what this next phase looks like for you. So that's all I have for this reading for the upcoming full moon. Exciting stuff. Definitely might challenge us in some capacities. If some of that resonated with you, I would love to hear. As always, if you want to share any thoughts, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can stay up to date with videos as they come out. Any additional information is going to be down in that description box, or it'll be in the about section of this channel. Stay wild and spooky, but most of all, stay magical. This is Mina, and I will see you on the next video. Until then, take care.